Hey everybody, it's Chainsaw. Welcome to my top 10 albums of 2013 video, and also I will be giving my honorable mentions of 2013 as well. Two things before I continue with this video. Number one, this is my opinion. Any albums featured in the honorable mentions or top 10 is my own opinion. So if there's an album on here that you think that shouldn't be on here or that should be on here that's not, understand it's my opinion, and I'm not saying these are definitively the best albums of the year. It's my opinion. Number two, I didn't review every single album that came out this year. So if an album's not on the list, it's either one, I didn't review it, or two, I didn't think it deserved a spot in honorable mentions or top 10. Let's start off with the honorable mentions, just list them, and then we'll actually get to the actual top 10, which I know you guys I'm hoping you're excited for. Honorable mentions, here we go. Ghost Infestissimum. Alice in Chains, The Devil Put Dinosaurs Here. Evil, Skull. Battlecross, War of Will. Newstead, Heavy Metal Music. Flesh God Apocalypse, Labyrinth, and of course, After the Burial, Wolves Within. Those are my honorable mentions. Definitely check out those albums if you haven't. Let's start off with the actual top 10, the big thing we're all here for. Number 10, starting off with this list, is Revocation, self-titled Revocation. Man, this album really blew me away. I've been a fan of Revocation for a couple years now, and I've really enjoyed their thrash metal epicness. I've really enjoyed their music, but man, this album really blew me away. I enjoyed the technicality, I enjoyed the heaviness, the aggressiveness, and what really put the cherry on top for me is that they covered Dire Z from Metallica, the epic heavy track, the epic, very aggressive thrash track from Metallica. So it was definitely just a little bit of a cherry on the top, but overall, just their actual music, not talking about the cover, man. Great album. I really enjoyed it, and I definitely felt like it deserved a spot on this, and so I think it really felt good to put it as number 10 to start this list off right. Number 9, we're going to go with another self-titled Dream Theater. Self-titled Dream Theater. This is a great album. I'm not saying it's their best, but definitely an album I think that had a lot of amazing things that really makes me just remember why I love Dream Theater so much. The technicality, John Petrucci, the new drummer, Mike Mangini, which I think did an amazing job on this album. It was his first official release with the band where he actually does his actual drumming and not what John Petrucci already put down. So it was definitely something really cool just to see that, and to see how the chemistry worked with him and the band, and overall just to see where the band has come in 2 years, and to really see, you know, how they've progressed. And that 22 epic minute in the 22-minute track they did closing the album, man. Amazing way to close the album, and it definitely, when I heard it, I was like, this is definitely my top 10. Don't know where, but it's got to go somewhere. Great release. Number 8, The Black Dahlia Murder, Ever Black. The first release without Shannon Lucas on the drums, and I thought that was going to be like a thing where it was going to make me not love the album as much. I love the record, but not as much as I love their past stuff with Shannon on the drums. But this was an album that really surprised me in the same time as well, because the new drummer did a great job in my personal opinion, and I felt like this album just felt like darker and more heavier than past releases. Doesn't mean that it's better, but it definitely felt like they were taking more of the route of, we're going to go darker this time, we're going to go more, you know, not so aggressively heavier and more technical, but just the tone they had for this whole entire album was more of the darker aspect, and it just felt like some of the lyrical content was more darker, and overall just the actual melody sounded like a darker tone to it. So definitely, like I've said, darker type album. So I really enjoyed this release. Had some great moments, a lot of amazing drum stuff, amazing guitar solos, and overall amazing guitar playing. Great songwriting as well. Definitely was a eye-opener for me. I'm like, whoa. Soilwork, The Living Infinite, double disc, which is number 7. Man, 2 albums. This band actually did it right. Five Finger Death Punch did not do a double album right. Soilwork, however, did it right. They put it out the same time. It's actually worth a double album. Each song had its own purpose. And I feel bad that I didn't review it when it first came out. I reviewed it in the middle of the year when I was kind of like, well, I'm going to get back to albums that I missed in the first part of 2013. Man, I should have reviewed it when it first came out, but man, Soilwork did an amazing job. I saw them live a couple years ago, and I didn't know the band until I saw them live. I really wish I would have, like, you know, seen them perform this double album live. I mean, they were an amazing live band, but I didn't know that this band that I saw live a few years ago, didn't know who they were, can write a double album this epic. Man, This is an album I definitely want to go pick up at some point. Blows me away, man. I gotta remember that next time. Buy this CD. Definitely worth the buy, in my opinion. Great stuff. Worth the double album. Repeating. Number 6, Killswitch Engage, Disarm, The Descent, the return of Jesse on vocals after not being on the vocals for a long time. And when he came back for a little bit to do some live shows with them before Howard officially left, or maybe he officially left and he kind of filled in. I don't know the full details. I think he just kind of filled in. But I was like, oh, wait, he's filling in for live shows? What's going to happen? And then it's like, he's not going to join, and then he joins. And then they put out an album that is like, oh my god. I like Killswitch Engage. I kind of love them. I like them. But after hearing this album and seeing Jesse is back, and they have this, man, this aggressiveness, I just didn't expect this album to be that amazing. I thought it was going to be a great album. I wasn't thinking, oh, it's going to be bad because Jesse's back. I wasn't expecting it to be as amazing as it was. So I was really blown away by how this album just sounded to me, and overall the songwriting, just everything surprised me about that album. Man, still to this day, I'm still just like, I just wasn't expecting this much epicness in this album. It happened. So now we get down to the nitty gritty. Number 5, Protest the Hero, Volition, the 4th release from the band, and this was a release that they actually wanted to put out on their own and not have to worry about a record company per se. Not sure the 100% details of how that came about or what exactly they were doing, but it was something they wanted to do. And man, this album really blew me away, like all the other albums did. But I just didn't expect to like it that much, because my favorite album from them is Skrillex, which is, to me, my best album, my favorite album from them. But Volition had a lot of the things that really made me remember why I love Skrillex and how I love their past releases. But man, Volition has some amazing melodies, amazing songwriting. Overall, had that just classic Protest the Hero sound, the quirkiness, the weirdness that they like to throw in their music sometimes. And overall, just, once again, reminds me of why I love this band so much. They have so much technicality, the melodies are just beautiful, and overall, they come up with some of the most amazing songwriting that I can think of in bands that are doing the type of music they're doing today. I mean, they're one of the few bands that I can consider to be a unique sounding band, so I gotta give them props for, you know, still continuing to put out music that still surprises me, and they still amaze me by how much technicality and how much work they put into their actual music. Still mind-blowing. Number 4, another favorite from a lot of people, love this album, Black Sabbath 13. Man, Black Sabbath blew us all away. It wasn't just a couple of people or themselves. A lot of people were surprised this album did as amazing as it was. We all heard the single God Is Dead. We all heard all this other stuff, and we had snippets and pieces like that. But man, we didn't expect this magnitude of how amazing it was. This band came back from basically not putting out any material for a very long time. And then out of nowhere, 3/4 of the original Black Sabbath band members got back together and made an amazing album. It was unexpected, technically. A lot of people were thinking it was going to be but did we really expect it to be amazing, epic? Not really. I mean, some people might say yes, and they might lie and say, well, I always thought that. But a lot of people just didn't expect how amazing this album was going to be. And the classic Black Sabbath sound, the classic Black Sabbath songwriting, man, this album just sounds very classic to the old Black Sabbath back in the day. Man, Black Sabbath. Is there anything else you could say? Man, this is just an amazing album. The classic slowness, the epic, just guitar riffs from Tony, the Ozzy. Oh, God. So many things that went for this album that just totally worked. Man, nothing more you can really say except thank you, Black Sabbath, for proving us wrong. That you can still put out an amazing record after so much time of not doing nothing. Thank you for this. God, amazing release. Number 3, The Ocean Pelagial. The reason why I put this up so high is not only because it's an amazing record, but the fact that there's 2 versions of this album. One version has the vocalist, but originally this album was written to be just an instrumental. Then the vocalist came back after his voice was basically, he needed time to not use his voice so much because he's having voice problems. But man, a double album, it's basically the same album just with his vocals overlaying it. I personally enjoyed the instrumental version more, but the fact that this album was written about the layers of the ocean made this album even more epic. And I was just like, whoa. And you can tell from the very beginning of the album, it's so light and pretty because they're at the top, and then they're slowly. Then the last song, it's like the very bottom pit of the ocean. It's just like this freaking sludge and heaviness and crunch, crunch, crunch. Definitely shows you, like, you know, how this album is actually written about the layers of the ocean. Amazing album, amazing release. Like I said, I prefer the instrumental over the actual with the vocals, but no diss to the vocalist, but just personal preference. But man, definitely an amazing album that caught me off guard. As I was listening to it, I knew I would love it. I just didn't know that I'd be repeating it and 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 just keep listening to it and just keep going. I keep catching new things. I keep loving this album. I keep seeing these new things, and just amazing album, hands down. A great, great release. Definitely deserved a spot in my top 10. Number 2, Trivium, Vengeance Falls. This is a big controversy one. A lot of people didn't like this release. It's like half the people didn't like it, or they liked it, but they didn't like it as much, or they just hated it. But the other half just love this album to death. I'm definitely in that category as love. I love this release. I picked it up the first day it came out. I got the deluxe edition from Best Buy that had the 2 bonus tracks. Unfortunately, it didn't have Skull, We Are the 138, or whatever from Misfits, the cover. But I love this album. I understand people might not like it because it didn't have many growls, and it's different. But you gotta understand, Trivium technically they've always put out different releases each time. So this album wasn't gonna be like the same exact thing as an In Waves or Shogun or Ascendancy or The Crusade or Ember to Inferno. Each album sounds different and has different things going on in it, so the band constantly changes up their vibe, but overall, their live shows, they somehow put all these different types of songs from different eras of their music and put them in together into a live show, and it works. So, I love Vengeance Falls. Great stuff. Amazing stuff. I listen to this album at least once or twice or 3 times a week. Even after it's been out for a while and I've been listening to other stuff. It's definitely an album that keeps coming back up, so it definitely, I knew it had to be in my top 3. I just didn't know where, but it had to be number 2 because number 1 is actually an album that was actually featured on Thomas the Rockaholic 11's number 1 of his top list. Scale the Summit, The Migration. Scale the Summit, The Migration. Once again, the band puts out another amazing instrumental metal album. Man, this band proves once again why I personally believe they are either the best or one of the best instrumental metal bands out there. Because a lot of bands are not doing what they're doing, which is completely 100% instrumental, nothing else, no vocals, nothing. But I personally believe this is their best record to date, and they've always, somehow, in my personal opinion, outdid their last album. So technically, in that aspect, they should outdo this one. I don't know how they're going to do it, but The Migration. I picked that album up. I listened to it almost daily. I mean, not all the way through, but I listened to tracks and just keep loving the album, loving the melodies, loving everything about it. And the reason why it's number 1, because I can't stop loving this album. I don't get tired of it. I never just go away because I can't stand listening to it. I have to listen to something else, so I have to go listen to this or whatever. But it's number 1 because I can't stop listening to it. Scale the Summit. Amazing stuff. So that is the list, guys. Thank you guys for watching. If you liked the video, like the video. And comment down below, let me know if you agree with my list or you think there should be albums in the list that I didn't put in the list. Let me know in the comment section. Thank you guys for watching. See ya.